Hi, Dr. Eddie.
Hello, Tammy. So good to see you as usual. How are
So
you
good
today?
to see you. I'm doing well, but I'm super excited because about your book with your wife Terry, the inner child book for betrayed partners. And so I before we get started, I really want to dive in a little bit on that because I've had the great opportunity to see it as it's been unveiled. And so let's chat a bit.
But before we chat, I do need to say, I want to say that publicly, thank you so much for the work that you did in helping us to bring that together. It was so you as well as others, it was so beneficial, and we really appreciate it very much.
I am I get excited about new books. Like I was really excited about Dr. David's, Sex Under the Influence because but again, the things that are missing that are needed is what, and this is missing and needed. So do you have a publication date yet?
We're hoping that by the end of October,
Okay.
we'll we'll have it out. We're doing
I,
final editing right now. Cover design will begin probably in about 2 weeks. The move is going to slow us down a little bit. So mid to end of October, which is
okay.
actually sooner than I thought, because I thought we were going to be more toward the end of the year in December. So
Well, stay tuned, everybody, because as soon as I have the information with a cover, I'm going to post it. I'm not personally. I'm going to ask to have it posted on our website under the book. So stay tuned. Okay. I have a couple questions for you about the book, though, too. I have read it. So, but like I was thinking, with the betrayed partners, he shares case examples in this book and, to represent, the various inner children. And I was like, do you see a willingness with partners to really engage in this work for their healing? Or,
when we have, and that's what got us to the point where the book was developed, over the last, I guess, 4 or 5 years, we've had numerous partners who've come and said, "Hey, I want to do my inner child work. I know my husband's working on it, but I feel I need to also because I know there's a lot of trauma that I'm dealing with and suffering today that just feels so much like things I've done that I went through in the past. And I just wonder how much is that impacting what I'm going through today. So yes, we're seeing more and more of that along the way.
and then another question, you have lots of cases that were provided for the different inner children. Do you have kind of a sense of time frame of like once someone embraces like, yes, these are my struggles, do you see, and this may be unique to each person, but do you have kind of a sense of like how long the work would take to start to shift things for the
Well,
inner children?
it's almost, as you start to dive in, you're going to start to see results rather quickly because what's happening is there's this sense of awareness that is taking place to be able to, because what we ultimately want to do is we want to separate your previous traumas from what you're going through right now, the trauma you're going through. So therefore, again, as the eyes open up and you become more aware of it and you look at it, you're able to pull those aside to say, you know what? That is not what I'm experiencing today. It feels like it, feels very similar to it, but that is not. The circumstances were very different. The cast of characters were very different. All of that was just not is not what is happening now. And so therefore, again, we look at the premise of what the whole inner child model is built on. It is to help you to take those raw emotions that you feel and be able to move them over to rational thinking, removing every assumption, removing every fear, removing every lie, negative narrative, therefore bringing it down to something that's manageable. Because what we're doing ultimately, if we're reducing the level of anxiety that is going on because of the trauma, if you reduce that, then what you're going to do is reduce the intensity of the response being given. And what we hope then happens, and again, this is not to say, oh, we're trying to drag you through your recovery. That's not what this is. But how many people have said, I hate the way I respond. I hate what I'm doing. This is not me. This is not the way I am. I've never said words like that before. I've never taken those actions. I feel like I'm lost. And what we're trying to do is help you to find yourself by coming up with responses that are more in line with what you're currently going through.
One more question that I was thinking about with now, if the addict is working on, the betrayer is working on their inner child work and the betrayed partner is working on their inner child, I'm hoping you see with couples that they have a better understanding and they're able to not just own their own inner child, but they can see when their partner's inner child is showing up. You're
So
nodding your head.
great question. And, very similar to what when we look at attachment styles, okay? It's important for each party to understand what the other's attachment is. This way you understand why you trigger one another. It's the same thing here because we've seen it before. We've seen it actually, I've seen it very often that there are many betrayed partners who get actively involved and trying to understand who are these kids that my you know partner has that have caused havoc in my life. And by understanding these kids, realizing what that partners who sit there and they tell their partner like, hey, you know what, your entitled child is out today, your need for control child is running amok. So they understand, they recognize that, and being able to point that out now to the person who's doing the inner child work, because sometimes again, if we're going through the process, we're learning, we don't slow everything down immediately. We're learning how to do that by someone calling it out. All right. Then what they're doing there is they're saying, oh, okay, I need to make an adjustment. I need to be more aware. You're seeing something I don't see right now. So yes, I would hope eventually as the two are doing their inner children work, that they are coming together, sharing what they're learning, and then being able to do just as we do with attachment work, be able to say, okay, I now understand what you're doing is you are, triggering my need for control or my stressed child or my, not empowered, the disempowered child. That's one of the ones for the betrayed partner. You're making me feel disempowered at this moment. Ooh, that's not what I want to do. I'm sorry. So therefore, yes, this could be, that's what we hope ultimately is going to happen with that.
And I've got two things. Like I don't own that anybody can make me feel. Their behaviors can trigger me and I can choose to feel or whatever. So I would invite, like, the conversation could be your behaviors right now are triggering my disempowered child and I'm going to go take care of myself. I was also thinking when you're saying, oh, your entitled child is coming out. I would have the conversation in advance of, like, do we have permission to share what we're seeing? Because I'll tell you what, if somebody comes at me with your entitled child is out, I would not act,
Well,
probably in my best.
that goes back to again, rules of engagement.
Yes.
How do we bring these things up? How are we going to communicate them? What words should we stay away from? For example, with my wife and I have this habit of when she starts, whether it's complaining about something or doing that, and I'll go, stop. She hates stop. She hates it. I mean, hates it. And you don't tell me to stop. And so I have to come up with different language in order not to just say stop, because she looks at it and she goes, it's like demeaning. And she's right. She's absolutely right about it. So therefore we have to have what are the rules of engagement to be able to not continue to trigger the person. But that's what happens. Then now we see how we go into escalation because we've taken one trigger and now we've added another and another, and it just continues to snowball.
Yeah, and I think that all goes back to what is the goal. If the goal is healthy connection, we want to be connected, we want to have healing, all of those things. Sure, I can win with stop, and I can disengage and I can shut you up, and that doesn't create the connection that I really want. So,
Well,
yeah, it's really important to
right, you're
figure
going
that
back to
out.
what we talk about almost every week, right? What do we say? We say, what is your objective? What is your goal here, folks? Is it just to continue to, say, tell how much you've hurt me and how horrible this is? And he knows, or she knows, hopefully. If she doesn't, then you have a totally different issue. But at some point, we have to stop focusing and worrying about the what will happen next and start to observe and to recognize what is happening here. Is he protecting me? Is she making me feel safe? Is that what's going on? Do I feel that from them? And if in most cases I do, because every once in a while they're not going to be perfect with something, it's like, all right, that's where I got to focus my attention, not back here. We've looked at this. You can look at this for the rest of your life, and some people do. They do. But that's where you stay. You'll stay there. You deserve more. You deserve better than to stay there. You need to move forward. You need to be, again, we're talking about those who've been through this for a while. We're talking about those whose partner who have betrayed and showing great improvement or transforming. You owe it to yourself to move forward, not backwards. Don't not staying there. Because again, another day gone off the calendar. It's another day lost. And perhaps maybe part of the problem is there is the trauma and the neglect from the past that is here that you're not fully aware of, and it's exacerbating the problem. And so therefore, let's start to pull the two apart. Let's pull them apart. So therefore, you're only dealing with what you're supposed to be dealing with. And you may find that, wow, you know what? This is a little bit lighter. It's not as heavy as what I was dealing with before. So, as we said, the trade partners who have done inner child work, and it's really funny. We I know I changed my thought in the middle. I'm sorry, folks. But I just remembered something. We sent the manuscript out now for people to give us professional endorsement. And one person that we sent one out to, who I know, but I don't know, in depth, said to me, "Oh, this." She goes, I'm going to read it. She goes, I don't even have to read it. This works. And the reason I know it works is I did my inner child work.
Oh, wow.
It separated the two of them. Wow. So it's interesting because I hadn't really heard about people doing that work. So I'm glad to see that some people are doing that. But yeah, again, the whole purpose is to try to help to move you forward so that you can go back to having, the life you had before, that you can feel better about yourself, no matter what the relationship is, no matter whether, your partner, moves forward and transforms or not, but you can just feel better about yourself and you can go to have that life you deserve to have.
Well, and I think you have a life better than you had before because those wounds were there even before all of this other stuff happened. So
Yeah.
you're giving people an opportunity to work on those things that have been probably holding them back and hurtful along the way, and even other areas and other relationships. So to me, this is it's you don't just get what you had before, you get better than what you had
I
before.
agree. I agree. That's a great point. And the other thing you mentioned too is that other areas of your life.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
So therefore, let's say perhaps maybe you had an anger issue, right? This help you there. with that. And there are many different aspects of it. Maybe you dealt with anxiety and depression before. This can also help because what you're ultimately doing when you start to pull the two worlds apart is you're lowering that anxiety down. And with that, maybe you overeat at times, maybe you stress eat. This can work for that too.
The kids don't just come up in your primary relationship. So this is absolutely, they show up, mine's an 8-year-old. I know for sure it's an 8-year-old. And I know, I had the whole visual and I did my work, but I always know when my 8-year-old is showing up and, but I have the ability now to lean in, take care of her and move forward as an adult. I don't have to let the 8-year-old take control. So I love the work. Super excited. So,
We
and
are, yeah, we're very excited too because we just feel that this is really going to help so many people. And it's just funny if the word starts to leak out and people are saying, so when are you doing the workshops? I'm like, I've gotten the book out yet. You want
one thing
work?
at a time. But yes, that would be great. So one thing at a time. I've got
Yeah.
some more ideas for you that I've got anyway. But what topic do you have for us that now let's transition. What do you got for us today? And we already have questions too.
I
So
want to talk a little, just very briefly about, your emotional development, emotional IQ, that more men than women, a large majority of men versus women, but there are some women who struggle also have an emotional IQ, a strong one. And what are just some of the quick little things that you can do to start as you're doing some of that work? Hopefully you have your feeling wheel out. And it's really interesting. Yesterday I had a client and he was talking to me about his feeling wheel. And he goes, you know what I'm doing? I go, what? He goes, I'm going in, I'm memorizing all these different emotions. I go, you what? He goes, he goes, I'm going through and he goes, starting at the beginning where, it's, sadness. And I'm going all the way out to the many and I'm memorizing what those are. I'm like, that's interesting. I have not thought about memorizing them. I go, now, I'm not going to tell you not to do that. However, I would say this, as you are investigating these, you need to understand what do they really feel like. So you have to take the time to sit and understand what does disappointment really feel like. Go back and think about a time you might have been disappointed. What was that like? What's your, and again, when we say feeling, we're not just talking about your emotions. What are thoughts associated with that when you feel disappointed? Like, we'll stay with that. What the body tell you? Where do you feel it in your body? Is it in your gut? Is it in your shoulders? Is it in your neck? What are you feeling with that? So, and he understood that and he realized and he goes, you know what? Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So he's going to tackle the whole feeling wheel. So that's good. So you have your feeling wheel. But the other thing that's really important is, and this is basic, but we have to say it because for many, trying to think about emotions or, it's just mindless. It doesn't happen. It doesn't exist. You need to be aware of what you are feeling. You need to take time every day throughout the day, just a few minutes. What do I feel? What do I feel? I feel like right now, what do I feel? I feel the excitement about the book. I feel the excitement about being here. I also feel nervousness. I have a nervousness, like, ooh, will this be well received? Will, not everybody's going to agree. Not everybody's going to like it. I know that, but it's like, oh, what are they going to say about it? What's it going to? So there's this mixed feeling that I have that as I sit here now, and just start to think about it. That's what you need to do several times throughout the day to try to determine what it is. The other thing that I think is really important is to try to put the word to it. what is the word that you might be feeling? And I had, for an example, I had a client who was saying, he goes, I was just, I knew something was off. And he started to, think about what was happening. So he said, I don't know what I feel. So he called a friend. He called a friend. He explained the situation to the friend. And in doing so, what the friend said to him was, you sound conflicted. Eureka. That's it. I'm conflicted. That's exactly what I am. I'm conflicted. So therefore, to lean on other people at times to be able to help you and assist you, okay, in determining what are those emotions. You don't have to do it all on your own. You can go to other people. So again, look at the tools that are out there, such as the feeling wheel. Again, take the time to just kind of, what do I feel? Several times during the course of the day. And then if you're really still struggling with that, pick up the phone and just share the circumstance with someone and see what kind of feedback that you get. Now, again, they may give you feedback and you'll be like, still not sure that's quite what it is. Okay, well then the two of you could talk a little bit more about it and brainstorm. My guess is you'll land on it. But I get the point of bad English. Don't do nothing. Okay. Before I even said it, I was telling you that. You have to do something. You must take action. There is not healthy just to say, hey, you know what? I'm just not good when it comes to emotion. I don't know how to deal with them. I don't know how to name them. I don't know how to take them on when other people have them. I don't know how to express it. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. I get it. We all get it. Do something. Transformation. That's what we're looking. We're evolving. Evolving takes energy. It takes time. You're not going to get good at something if you don't invest in it. So you need to start investing. So if you're not doing the emotion work, I strongly encourage you that you start and start now. And it's every day, and you don't need a lot of time. 15, 20 minutes, maybe 10, whatever you get, you just need to do some of it. So that's what I got for you today, Tammy.
Great stuff. And you know what? Your emotions can change throughout the day. So, like, even checking in a couple times a day and going, like, what am I feeling now? But it's so the feelings wheel. It's amazing how many addicts need the feelings wheel because they are completely disconnected from feelings and always, not, I shouldn't say always and never, but often are stuck in their heads about, the intellectualizing rather than the feeling. And identifying what's going on in your body is so important to do, and we often neglect doing that, that piece of it. So really, and taking action, yeah, it's like all of this takes practice. We're starting at a very low bar on this, and we can get better at it, and it's meaningful. It's not without merit. Like this really changes things. So you're talking about transformation. This is what changes things, is when we are in our bodies, we're paying attention to our emotions. We're also more able to read other people's emotions. Like, because I can go, oh, that face, I recognize that, I'm conflicted. Or like, when I have that face, I'm conflicted. So we're able to identify the emotions in other people and relate on a very different level too. So
Become
is
attuned. You become attuned
yes,
to people.
yes. Okay, we've got bunches of
Yeah,
questions.
we got questions.
We do. So I think my addicted partner is struggling with the fear he feels when he sees someone he's attracted to, which I can only imagine is very stressful. That being said, I'm concerned about natural attraction versus seeing triggering women and how they are addressed. Aren't they addressed the same way? I.e., don't keep looking, don't lust, and don't use them for recall. Also, if recall is not wanted, can ART really help the addicted partner?
Okay, good stuff. Yes, and we're talking about that natural attraction. I've talked about this before, imago. Okay, what that is the imago theory, that there is this imprint that we have in the back of our brain, that of an image of someone that we just naturally gravitate to. It's not a lustful thing. What it is more of a soothing, comforting. I think I've shared with you folks long ago when we talked about this topic. For me, right? What is my imago? I learned about my imago when I was in my late 40s and then realized that it is women who have bangs. You can put 100 women in front of me, and the ones who have bangs will boom, pop out. Okay, they don't have to be attractive or whatever. They just pop out because it's the bangs. And what is that about? It's the fact that I was raised with 3 women and they all had bangs. Okay. And that's what it is. Any woman I seriously dated, okay, including wife and my current wife, all had bangs and didn't really realize it for all those years. It's just that imprint that I have that is there. But yes, you need to address it the same way. It's just because, okay, I see imagos. Okay, I've had them in my practice. I've had women in my practice who they're that I'm not going to even say trigger for me because they weren't a trigger because I understood. But therefore, it's like, oh, yes, I see there's a natural attraction for it. So what do I do? One, I'm aware that's what this is. Two, I don't need her attraction. I don't need it. All right. It's not necessary for me. This is my inner child who's saying, oh, comfort. I don't need her comfort. I don't need it. All right. I'm there to provide her with some comfort, hopefully. All right. In that sense. And therefore, again, so now what I can do is I can just move away from it. Just move away. So therefore, no, you don't look. You had in there, don't lust. Usually you're not lusting after those people. That's not what it is. And no, and you don't go back to recall. It is that idea that, okay, I understand. And most of the time when you understand what it's about is that inner child seeking this comfort and soothing from someone back in the past. You realize, okay, you know what? This is not reality right now. I don't even know this person. I don't even know. She may be, the worst person in the world. She's not going to give me comfort at all. She may have no emotional bandwidth, okay? But what it is, you would create a fantasy out of it. And of course, as part of our recovery, we're not looking to create fantasy.
So my only comment is I want to reframe something versus seeing triggering women, because that feels like it's blaming the women. And like Dr. Eddie just said, people with bangs are people with bangs. They shouldn't be villainized, in my opinion. It should be, this is, so yeah, I mean, and it doesn't matter. It can be, women who are 8 months pregnant, like it doesn't matter. There's always something. And it doesn't matter how, how they look. It's there's something about it. And so I would invite us to not call triggering women, but say, yeah, and it's his issue, and you know what, if I'm triggered, it's data for me. It's absolutely, like Dr. Eddie was talking about, if I'm looking for comfort and that's a comfort thing, oh, what do I need to do to take care of myself rather than expect somebody else to take care of me? So yes, the tools of recovery really do help. And there's more tools than just one. Like, it isn't just one thing that's going to help us. We have lots of opportunities and lots of different things we can do, phoning a friend, doing, like going, oh, stopping, I need to do breathing and grounding, whatever it is, before I go out and see, Dr. Eddie's talked about, before I go to the grocery store, what is my mission? I'm going to the grocery store. I'm not, following women up and down the aisles, trying to interact. I'm going to get the groceries. So there's lots of tools that can be used, and that's up to your addict partner to find the things that will work for him so that he is staying on his recovery path.
The other thing that I've noticed lately more and more has come to my attention is that how many betrayed partners are triggered by the women in their environment. Okay. I mean, and they look at these women, they're threats. And I've even heard some say, yeah, I kind of scout out the area. I'm looking for who would my husband be attracted to. What is that gaining you? You're taking his issue, his disorder, and you are now projecting it upon yourself, and you're projecting it, to Tammy's point, on the women who are just, these are innocent women out there. They're not triggers, that she said. Okay, they're innocent women. They're just out doing what they need to do at this time. So therefore, I would strongly urge you to do that work so that you can go out and, again, not to feel anxious, forget about trigger, feel anxious when you're around others because you're going to, you know, impact my husband. And on the other side, we have betrayed partners who go out and they're doing this because they're trying to think about, oh, is there a woman out here that my wife is going to be impacted by? Think of the anxiety that is rushing through both of your bodies at that moment. It's incredible, and it's unnecessary, and it's counterproductive.
Yeah, if everything in the world is not safe, like then you're locked. You know, I often say you can't bubble wrap the addict enough to make sure that there isn't an issue. So, and your work is like constantly, I'm going to bubble wrap and duct tape, and like, no, live your life. Okay, Dr. Eddie, the next question. So, should I be calling out the inner child behavior I'm seeing when I see it?
We actually addressed this before when we were talking about the new book out there. What she was saying was, you know what, you need to have that conversation, the rules of engagement. How should I, and you talk, if I think I see, okay, I understand you've identified to me these 5 inner children that trigger you. Okay. If I see some of this behavior, would you be open to me bringing this up and letting you know, hey, I think one of your kids is active. All right. So therefore, again, you have to be able to talk about that to get permission. So therefore, the other person feels comfortable. Because to Tammy's point, walking up and just saying, oh, I see your need for control kid is out. You ought to do something about it. Yeah, kind of. So like, yeah, deer in the headlights at that point, like this, what? So therefore so yes, I do think it should be. I think you should have that ability to do so, but you need to be able to work with your partner to determine what's the best way to do it.
Yes, because I've been in recovery a long time, and I still am amazed that my first reaction is, like, I'm going to dig my heels in. Like, my husband is a brave man. Like, we've had, if we're having a little, whatever, he said, "Do you want to talk about this after your run?" And hands me my running shoes. Or, "Do you want to talk about this after you go to a meeting?" And I have the bandwidth to be able to go, this man loves me. He is really trying, and I'm going to listen to him, and I'm not going to, And so, and then like, by the time I get back from the meeting or the run, I don't even remember what it was that I was in, an uproar about. But you have to have that, like, believe me, I'm a long ways into this journey, and it still is my first reaction. So having the ability to talk about, not in that moment, is it okay for me to go? I was thinking when you were talking before, it's like, we should name them. And it's like, this is Ted, and this is, whatever. And
People
hi,
do
Ted.
name their children.
Yeah.
Some of them
Yeah.
do. They do
Yeah.
that.
But yeah, then you can, like you say, I see Ted is out today, or whatever it is, but I was like, I like find a way that you can navigate that space. So, but I don't think calling it out like will serve you. I think it's okay to, say, hey, and honestly, what a gift if both of you are able to, to share, like, I see your inner child. That's being seen on a real and meaningful level. I see what's happening, in your body right now. Wow, what a gift. You're communicating on a way different level.
Yeah,
Okay, the next question. Go ahead.
no.
Okay, I'm new to IFS. That's internal family systems, inner child work, and shadow work. Where should I start to or begin to do the work? I'm the betrayed partner and anxiously attached, stronger than ever now. I'm staying in the relationship, seeing an APSAT. We have a couples therapist in my partner's 12-week SA recovery program. I'm trying not to go towards disorganized attachment after the betrayal trauma. I'm hypervigilant in all the ways, including outside betrayal, and I tend to swoop in and do the work for someone while having poor boundaries.
Ah, okay. So, all right. So you're anxiously attached. The likelihood that you're going to move to, to another type of attachment isn't really strong. I mean, that's the way you're hardwired in that sense. But what you do is you learn how to manage your attachment there. Yeah, if you're looking at IFS, you're looking at the inner child, looking at shadow work, there are similarities in everything that we're talking about here. You have to pick out the one that you think is, that you feel more comfortable with. Okay, that you feel like, you know what, I think I can implement this better. It's also who are you working with to determine, you know, what do they specialize in? What are they good at? What do they know? Um, but again, you can't really go wrong with any of those at that point. It looks like you have a pretty comprehensive, healing program that's going on right now. I think try not to mix the one together, because then I think you're going to wind up in a bit of a problem. I think you're going to pick one or the other or the other. So,
You have a qualified professional. Lean into what is that person guiding you? Like, no one knows how to do this stuff because no one ever thought they would have to. So you've got a professional. What is your professional telling you? What is his individual, CSAT, telling him too? I think that those are the key. And slow all of this down. You are not going to, like, you're 12 weeks in. You are so early in this process. Um, it would be it's really easy to start going, I'm going to do all of these things, and one of these is going to be the magic thing that's going to fix this. None of those are going to magically fix this. This is a journey, as Dr. Eddie was saying. These are things that we're working to change over time. And so take a deep breath, do your grounding work, do self-care, internal focus. I posted, we just had an Empowered Women's Retreat this past weekend, and it's amazing and healing. And I see the women that show up on Thursday and are externally focused, and they're hurt and rigid, and by Saturday they are laughing. They are in a sisterhood, like we were talking about before. Women are not the enemies. We are in a sisterhood, and we are there to support each other. And we've turned the focus into what do I need to do for self-care, and that ultimately helps an addict step into what they need to do. Otherwise it's parenting. You are, if I have to make you do whatever, then it's mommy's making you do that. That's not the relationship you want or deserve. So I did put, we have the next one, October 24th through 27th. Location was great. You can always email me, TAMI at Seeking Integrity. I'm happy to tell you more about that. We also have separately, and for you, honestly, you're doing so much, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. But the online work group for betrayed partners starts on the 4th of September. Many therapists recommend that for people. We have a Sex Addiction 101 that starts on August 31st. So I put the link for both of those things in the chat, and those could be useful, but not if you're overloaded with everything else you're doing. I would center in take care of you in all of this. But you've got an asset. Lean into that.
Remember what is the ultimate objective that you're looking for, and that is to understand your true self. Okay. Who are you really? And again, what drives you to think, feel, and act the way you do? So therefore, again, you can feel more comfortable with who you are. And therefore that's where you find real happiness.
So the next one is I have previous trauma and infidelity trauma in almost every adult relationship from my current relationship with a discovery date of 11 weeks ago. I'm sorry, like this just hurts. Does my self-work need to include anything in particular or different because of previous trauma?
Well, again, just Tammy said, really sorry. I mean, again, it's all raw, and you've been through it before, over and over again. So we can only imagine what the intensity of the pain must be for you. Um, I does it need to be anything different because of the past trauma? I think what it needs is one, as you're going through and evaluating or not evaluating, but basically grieving this trauma that you're going through right now, because that's what your immediate need to be. You got to be grounded, you're grieving, you're dealing with this, you got a good support network, hopefully, that's helping you through all of it. And after, several months, 6 months or so of going through that whole process, getting yourself, so again, as I said before, grounded, where it's like, okay, I can breathe. Now you can go back and start to pull out the trauma that from the past that might be that I not might be, it is. There's no doubt about it. That has just, merged into what you're going through today and being able to pull them apart. But right now you have to be focused on the current hurt. So I don't know, Tammy, you think any differently or
No, I agree. And the biggest focus would be what are your internal and external boundaries for your safety. This isn't about their behavior. It isn't punishment, punitive control. It is I need to take care of me because these people, in your world have not taken care of you. So we talk about physical, financial, emotional, spiritual. And Debbie McRae at the Empowered Women's was talking about intellectual, boundaries too. So but those would be what do I need, not want. And this is not a list of 150 things. These are pretty fundamental that and you can share with a partner. And again, it's not like you need to do this. It's like these are my boundaries for me. And the consequence, I can't connect with you if this is not safe. So then I'm going to be over here taking care of myself. It's a very different conversation. And that's what we do a lot of work on, and practice, because boundaries are challenging both for the addict and the partner. And there's these patterns that have been going on that don't work well for a healthy relationship. So that's what we're looking to do differently. But you taking care of you, because there hasn't been safety and there's been a lot of hurt and betrayal. But yeah, top layer, you got enough with this relationship. You can get to the other stuff later, deal with the safety for you for right now.
But this does raise a really good point. And again, that is if you're in the very early stages of betrayal trauma, okay, you're not jumping in to do your own inner child work at this point in time. That is not where you should be. Again, you got to go and do the setup that Tammy talked about. When I talk about grieving, it is doing the things like I'm putting up the boundary. I'm getting my community together. I have a good, coach, therapist, whatever, who's helping me through all of this along the way. And then after, again, you get grounded, I can breathe somewhat. That's when you can go in if you feel that you have that previous trauma that's exacerbating what's going on.
So the next one, Dr. Eddie, Monday, I got a text from the Unfaithful and it looked like it wasn't for me. And I got alarmed immediately. I reacted and texted back and called. I heard his angry voice and I got triggered to not let it escalate. I hung up within 5 seconds. And in 1 minute, he texted and wrote, "You are sick in your head, such a difficult problem person. Good luck. I did not respond to it, and I'm starting to see the truth. He came back not for me or us, but solely for himself. He doesn't want to understand what betrayal trauma is, and obviously doesn't care. He changed his behavior, but he never healed his pains. And I don't think, and don't want, I think. How do you see this? Every week I get upset, and he just shuts down and makes me more upset and doubting the relationship with him. He makes me doubt myself and create such confusion.
Do I see this? One word, abusive. It's abusive. Okay, great. He changed his behavior. He doesn't do that anymore, but he's not doing anything to make you feel safe. And because he haven't done that, that's what had you doubting yourself. That's what had you, reacting the way you did to that email or that text, which I guess it was meant for you, I assume, based on what you're writing here. But you know what? I don't blame you for reacting that way because he had you in complete doubt. True, not true, right, not right, wrong. What? Uh, you're highly reactive right now, and you're highly reactive because you don't have somebody who is helping to calm down your fears and your worries and your insecurities. You don't have someone who's feeding you in a way in the way of being, nurturing, who is being respectful, who is being kind. You don't have that. And that's what you need. This is abuse. That's what it is. Plain and simple. That's the way I see it.
I do too. And like, wow, every week I get upset and he just shuts down. Like you're on this cycle, and you can continue that for years or decades. But I posted in the chat the previously recorded webinars, Kristen Snowden from May, should I stay or should I go? She had like 10 questions to journal about. And I'm going, like, I'm reading this, I'm going, what good in the relationship is there for you? Like this just seems like how distressing and hurtful. And I've shared bunches of times the podcast with Dr. Rob and Dr. Stan Tetkin. We do what is a healthy relationship, and how in a healthy relationship you are better off, you are healthier, everything is so much better. In an unhealthy relationship, it is toxic and hurtful to you as an individual. So you get to stay, but and totally no judgment, but boy, oh boy, extra healthy boundaries for you if you're living in a toxic relationship. How do you take care of yourself with all of this, toxic stuff, floating around you? So, and then how is your health, Dr. Eddie?
How's my health? Why do I not look good?
No,
Um,
you were sharing you were pre-diabetic. So,
Yes, yes. I think I shared with you guys, it was several months ago, just right there on the borderline. I've gone down from 173 to 154 in 2 months. And that's where I'm at now. I'm staying at that 150. I'm between 152, 155. Uh, very little sugar going in my mouth. My numbers are great. I feel really good. I'm working out on a regular basis. I'm going to need to. I'm going to be working on a ranch soon, so I got to get myself ready for that. So no, I feel very good. Thank you for asking. I really appreciate that.
so I often liken, and it's not the same, but I do liken it, diabetes to addiction, because you will not be, not have this as part of your medical story, but you're taking the action so that you aren't having the negative consequences. And that's what we do in recovery, is we take the necessary action so that we don't have to have the negative consequences of our addictive behavior. But we
Not
have to
just
do the
for
action.
me, not just for me, but my gosh, if I became diabetic and with all the different consequences that come, neuropathy, retinopathy, all of those, my wife deals with that too. She's gonna have to deal with it. So therefore, I got to keep myself healthy in order not to burden her with all of that.
But you're being intentional, because you could say, I'm going to eat sugar and all. So you're choosing that. Okay. when I'm talking, arguing with my partner, my filter seems, or I'm sorry, my filter usually senses anger, even if there is hurt on her side. Is there a good activity to help me practice dropping that filter and see the emotion that is there, not what my filter is telling me is there?
Oh, okay. This goes back to what I say. That's a good question. I'm glad you
Mm-hmm.
brought when I say about the idea of practice, practice, practice. You need to outline for yourself. Okay, you can't wait till you get in the trenches with her because if you wait, that's all you're gonna see is hostility, what you're talking about right now. So you sit there and you write it out. Okay, what happens when we, as you say, talking, arguing, whatever? First of all, there shouldn't be arguing. Arguing means you're both going at it. Okay. You should not be engaging. Don't feed that. Don't feed it. And so therefore, okay, so therefore you write it out. What am I going to do? I'm not going to feed her anger. Okay. I'm going to recognize that she is hurting. I'm going to realize that I'm the one who put her in this place. Okay. For the most part. Um, I'm going to be curious. Okay, I'm going to ask questions about what she's bringing, what she's saying. So therefore, saying, "Oh, you did X and X, X, Y, and Z." Most guys will go, "No, I didn't. You just threw kerosene on the whole thing, right?" Instead of, "Well, you know what? I can understand why you think I would do that because I've done things like that in the past. But tell me, why do you think I've done that now?" Or what are you seeing that I don't see at this moment? To be curious about it. And then when she gives you some sort of explanation about it, to be able to say, okay, I understand again. However, that is not the case. Can I share with you what is really going on or what really happened? Ask permission for it. Okay, don't just blurt it out. Ask permission. Say, I'd like to share with you what going. Now you might get back. Oh yeah, go ahead. I know it's going to be a lie anyway. Again, I know why you think I'm lying, but thank you for allowing me to share this. And then you just put it out there. Whether she believes or doesn't believe, there's nothing you can do about that. At least you know in your heart I've been honest, and I will continue to be honest. I will continue to be open. And hopefully over time, it start to she starts to pick this up and she realizes of it. She stops looking in the past at what you did, and she's looking more right now at you here to say, is he different? So again, what is it that you're going to do? How are you going to do it? And when you mess up, and you will mess up, okay, and you jump in with some sort of defensiveness or anger, then all of a sudden catch yourself. Stop. Wait a second. You know what? Well, that was completely wrong for me to do. I apologize. I am sorry. I should not have been defensive. Should not have been angry. Now, if you need 5 minutes to go and ground yourself to be able to come back and do it, do that. If you feel like, all right, you know what? I'm here. Find the pain point. You ask for what is the good activity, find the pain point. And the pain point isn't, oh, you cheated on me or you watch porn. That's not the pain point. That's the activity that you engaged in. What did that mean to her emotionally and mentally? How did it impact her? And it may be the idea that, you know what? I feel that I have been deceived through our entire marriage. That's a big pain point. A big pain point. I feel that I'm not good enough for you, that you want something else. That's a big pain point. I feel I'm stupid that this was happening. When you understand what those pain points are, that's when you can kind of zero in on it. And it's going to help you in two ways. One, going to make you stay there and not get angry with her because it can be really hard to get angry with somebody who's sitting there and telling you, I feel so stupid. She's not going to say it, but I feel so stupid because I let this happen, and I didn't realize it was. And you're sitting there saying to yourself, the last thing you were was stupid. It wasn't you, it was me. It was all me. You're not stupid, you know? And so therefore that's going to be able to keep you grounded.
Well, and I think it's really important to stay grounded because the immediate reaction is going to go, no, you don't understand. You don't, like being that
That's right.
defensive thing. One of the things I love, and it's kind of a visual, and I won't be able to do it, but you're like holding your hands, kind of cupped in front of you, and just holding that and going, I'm going to be the container and I'm going to hold the emotions. I'm going to hold my partner's emotions here, which means you're not getting them as a sponge in here. Like I'm creating a container so I can hold this. And then it's also the visual and the feeling of my hands are together. So I'm not taking this in. I don't have to be defensive. I can hold the space. And that has been a practical application of how I can do this. So I'm not, oh my gosh, I'm taking in this anger and it's so hurtful. And no, I'm holding it right here.
Yeah. And Carol, the coach, Carol, what she says is your container's a lot bigger than you think it is.
Yes. Yeah, you
Okay.
can do the little tiny hands and you can do bigger hands, but like start with the little tiny hands. It's okay. Okay, so Dr. Eddie, the comment about intellectualizing resonates with me. How can you emotionally attune to a partner's emotions if they are shut down about how they feel?
Okay. How do I emotionally attune to a partner's emotions if they are shut down about how they feel? You can't. All right. However, what you can do is be able to take steps to try to get them to open up. And again, I go back to curiosity. I think curiosity is one of the greatest tools we can use to be able to go in. And curiosity is not, so how you feeling? How you doing? That's not curiosity. All right. Curiosity is going a little bit deeper. Curiosity is more along the lines of, you know, you haven't been saying much about the pain that I caused to you. Can you share a little bit about how intense it's been? What did the focus been on? What are the thoughts that you're dealing with? That's where you go to try to get them. But no, you can't help a person if they're not sharing any emotions. You can't be attuned, but you can gently, gently be curious to be able to see what you get back.
So the next one is a really good question, and there's a few like this. I've already captured them for some other time. How do I not do the scanning threats for myself? How do I do the work? I don't feel threatened by women, but I feel they threaten my partner's fidelity and sobriety. I hate that his betrayals have impacted how I view and interact with women now. This is
Once
so
again,
common.
just as I tell the men, right? Prepare, practice, practice, practice. You need to be sitting down and writing out for yourself. First and foremost, they are not a threat to your partner's fidelity and sobriety. Your partner is the threat. Okay. That's number one on your list. He is the threat. They are not. Okay. That you have to understand. I'm sorry, I'm not yelling at you.
No.
Okay. Sorry. But they are not the threat for you. All right. So you have to understand that. Two, think about it. Think about trade places for a moment. Think about another woman who might be going through the same thing you are. And what if she looked at you that way? I mean, I would think you would be not angry, but you would like feel awful.
Mortified.
Right, mortified in a sense like, oh my gosh, you think I'm a threat to honey? I'm not a threat to you. I'm the last thing I am. And I guarantee you, those women that you're looking at, they would all say the same thing. They would also, so therefore you need to see them for what they are and who they are and what they are. They are people. They're people, and they're just like us. They have their brokenness, and they have their good qualities. They have their not so good qualities, and we can't be judging for what they are. So therefore, what I start with here is understand where the real potential threat is. Hopefully, he's not a threat any longer, but where did it all originate from? And then just sit there and just write it out. And then as Tammy said before you go out, you sit there, you review them, you think about it. When you're out there and it hits you, don't just let it run amok. Stop for a moment, breathe, try to regain your composure, and you tell yourself those women are not rats. They're not. These women have done nothing wrong. That's where I'm sorry.
I had the thought of like, we have the 3-second rule. I wondered about applying that and going, this person is somebody's, mother, sister, daughter, whatever, and humanizing them. If you're a betrayed partner, humanizing that person rather than looking at them as a threat. It's, for the addict, they're not for the object of my sexual gratification, humanizing them, but it's also from a betrayed partner standpoint, they are humans, and your husband or partner, fantasizing about them is, I would suspect, not what they would want to be objectified in any kind of way like that.
That's an excellent point. Most of the women would be, again, they'd be mortified. Like, I don't want to be objectified.
So we are out of time. I captured these. I'll add them to our list, and we will not see Dr. Eddie. We will wish him well on his move across state lines, and we will see him again in October. But I have a plan I'm working on for the 3rd week. It will be posted on our calendar, so check that out. But good luck with the move. I'm going to send you an email about some other stuff. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you.